Hello and welcome everyone to this webinar. We're going to get started now. So this webinar is titled Ideate Software, Ideate Apps and StyleManager. But this is going to be a quick basic overview of Ideate's solutions in the StyleManager and the Ideate Apps space. So I'm going to just quickly go through an agenda for you. That's myself, Brendan Upton. I'm the Senior MEP Technical Consultant here at A2K. And so just a quick agenda of what we're going to quickly run through today. We've got the Ideate Apps, which is an add-on, another one of Ideate's add-ons for Revit. The Ideate Apps itself includes multiple tools. They're listed there for you on the screen. There's the Renumber tool, the Quick Select, Smart Delete, there's the X-ray, and then there's the spell check. And then there's also the Sheet Manager, the Align tool, the View Clone tool, and the View Creator. So I'm just going to go through a basic overview, an introduction, if you like, of these tools. And then secondly, today, I'm going to have a look at the Ideate StyleManager. So have a look at what that can do in terms of you monitoring and auditing your Revit model, your Revit project, and keeping it clean. And at the end, I'll leave some room for some questions as well. So if you've got any questions while we go, feel free to type them into the chat window. I'll leave some room at the end and I'll review those if there are any. All right, I'm going to jump over into Revit. Okay, so let's get right into it here. So I'm on the Ideate Software tab here. This model that I'm currently in is, if you watched the webinar last week, I'm going to use the same model here. It's a MEP specific model. Obviously, that's my background. Some of these workflows and demonstrations that I'll go through today may be MEP focused, but you can take the workflows and pretty much apply them to any workflow or any discipline that you're in. Okay. So this is the model I'm in. So let's jump in. So I'm on the Ideate Software app. So the add-in tab of the ribbon. So the first thing I want to look at today is the Ideate Apps. So here they are loaded here. So as I said, you'll find them on the Ideate Software tab. If you watched the webinar last week, I went through BIMlink and Explorer and Sticky. If you install the Ideate Apps, they will install next to those tools on the Ideate Software tab in the ribbon. So it's all a dedicated space for your Ideate software. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run through the tools really quick here today and just give you a really basic introduction to give you an idea of what you might be able to use these tools for moving forward. Okay, so here they are. This is what makes up the Ideate Apps. You've got the Renumber tool, you've got the Quick Select, you've got the Smart Delete, the X-ray, and then the Spell Check tool. And then you've also got the Sheet Manager, Align, the Clone tool, and then the View Creator. There's also a Help tool here, Help menu. You can jump into this. It's very useful. There's lots of good resources in here, so I recommend you have a look at this if you are new to the tool and you're getting used to what it can do. This is quite a neat and tidy Help menu. It's got links. You can jump into any one of these and you can expand those out and see getting started information, step-by-step guides. There's also on the Ideate's YouTube channel as well. There's plenty of resources and videos and tutorials on there as well. So if you just search for Ideate Software in YouTube, you'll find their official channel and you can get lots of help from there. All right, let's jump in and have a look at the tools. So the first one I want to look at, I'll just go through these in order. So let's jump in and have a look at the Renumber tool. Okay, the Renumber tool will open up with a little familiar Ideate interface, a little window. Looks pretty similar to the others. And there's a bunch of stuff that you can do here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at some of the rules that exist here already. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to jump into a plan view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out of this real quick. I'm going to jump into my level 2 plan view here. And if I jump back into the Renumber tool, okay, you can see that I'm getting a few more rules there, okay, as per this view, okay. So the Renumber tool can be used for any number of elements, depending on your discipline. You might want to be numbering doors or windows if you're in the architectural space. I don't know, you might be wanting to number columns, for example, or beams for whatever reason if you're in structural. MEP, obviously there's lots of numbering going on with and item numbers of pieces of equipment. I'm going to actually use an example of the spaces here, being able to renumber the spaces. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at one of these rules here. Okay, so there's a rule here called all by space. Okay, you can drill in and browse to any number of saved rules that you might have in here. Okay, so you can create your own ones. You can import ones in. There are some basic rules that ship with the Renumber tool and with Ideate apps that you can start to utilize. There's some spaces ones there as well. In fact, if I import that one in, okay, so that'll just bring that in just like that. Okay, so I already had one like that, but you can feel free to use that import tool. So I'm going to go with that one. Okay, I simply just want to renumber the spaces. Okay, I've got some spaces in this model here. Let's say I want to, for whatever reason, I want to put a prefix here and start the increment at a certain number. I could say I want to put SP for space and a dash in front. And then I want to maybe start the number at 101. Okay, so that's where my numbers are going to start. Okay, and I've got a few methods here now where I can pick the ways that I can pick these spaces. Okay, or these elements I'm dealing with. Okay, I've got select elements where I can just simply click them one by one, or I can select a path crossing, so I can draw myself a line if I have one. Okay. Or I can select the path vertex. If I simply just choose the select elements, I can click on that and say start numbering. Basically what I've got to do is, you can see how I can see the spaces there. Basically as I click through, I'll just do a few here in order. Okay, so I'll just do those few there and maybe one more. Okay, I'll finish that. Okay, and if I drill into my space here, I can see in the properties there, it started to number those as per what I had chosen. Okay, if I click the next one, you can see SP102. Okay, so that's the first way. It's probably a bit more of a manual clip. If you'd rather do an order or like a line, what you can do is if you draw yourself a detail line, this is just another method. Okay, make sure I've got my chain on. I'll just make thin lines for the moment. Let's say I start from the right-hand side here. I'm just going to draw just a bit of a line here, sort of going through these spaces. Okay. All right, now that I've got that, what I can do is I can jump back into the tool. Okay, let it load up. I can choose my rule. I can say this time I want it to be maybe SP again, but this time I want it to start from 301. Okay, this time instead of going select elements, I'm going to pick select path by crossing. Okay, I'm going to start numbering. The prompt down here on the left where my cursor is there is telling me to select a line. So if I select that line, here it'll pop up a window to tell me what it's about to rename. So you can see there's the original value. That's all the spaces that are crossing that line. Okay, if I want to, I can reverse the order, but it's going to start from the beginning of the line where I started drawing it. Okay, so it gives me a bit of a preview of what it's about to do. These are the original values, the name of those rooms and the numbers, and this is the new value it's going to be. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to say accept changes. And what I should find is if I go out of that, if I pick my space here, you can see that it's now started SP301. And if I sort of check some of these ones randomly around, let's go to that one there. That's up to SP309. So as you can see, it's counted these, it's numbered these all the way around. Let's check some of these ones down the bottom. And you can see that's up to SP322. So it's numbering them in order of where I started that line as they cross. Okay. So it's a little bit, I guess there's a little bit of setup there, but if you make sure you've got a line that crosses through all of them, in the order that you want, you should be able to really quickly renumber those. So that will work. I've just done spaces there, but that will work for doors, it will work for windows, it will work for any category pretty much, as long as you've got that line crossing through. So there's just a few examples of how you can use the Renumber tool. Okay, probably enough on that one for the moment. Let's move on to the next tool. Next tool I want to quickly look at is the Quick Select. Okay, so the quick select is just that. It's a quick selection mode that lets you drill in a little bit further than what you can do out of the box in Revit. So it sort of moves your elements into a category tree, much like the families in the project browser. But this allows you to break up not just pretty much any category, right? So you can drill in and you can find all those instances of elements that are in there. So if I go to mechanical equipment, for example, I can drill straight in and I can select certain elements there really quickly, okay? Or I can go all or none. I do have options to be just in the active view or in the entire project, or I can even do a current selection as well, okay? So it's just almost like a souped up selection tree that allows you to drill into specific categories that you just can't get to easily out of the box in Revit when you're trying to select certain elements. Okay, you've got a search option there as well, which allows you to kind of, type in a keyword. If I type in duct, I can see that it's going to filter out for me and just show me things, elements with the word duct in it. So accessories, fittings, ducts themselves. Okay, so I can drill in and find those as well. Okay, that I can, while that window's open, I can still work in my view as well. Okay, so that's quite handy. Okay, so that's the quick select tool. Pretty straightforward. Recommend you just have a look at that tool and play around with it a bit further. See if you can get these different previews and different aspects working. All right, the next tool is the Smart Delete tool. So the Smart Delete tool allows you to select elements. Let's say I select that element there. If I go to Smart Delete, basically what it's going to do is it's going to tell me really quickly what basically are the ramifications if I delete that view, if I delete that element. Is there anything else that's going to be deleted? Is it going to have ramifications elsewhere in my model? So you can see if there's good news here, it says found no dependence based upon your selection. So it doesn't matter what it is, what element it is. If I delete that, I can delete that. If I select something else, let's go with that plan region. Okay, again, it's telling me that there's nothing dependent on that plan region. If I delete this, only those elements are going to be deleted. Okay, so it's just a smarter way of being able to really quickly see if there are going to be any adverse results of you deleting certain elements in Revit in your project. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, that window. You can have a play around with that as well. Okay, let's have a look at the X-ray tool. Okay, so the X-ray tool is another tool here in the Ideate apps that allows you to basically find elements that are not visible in a view and find the reason why they are not visible. So there's any number of reasons why elements, are sometimes invisible in a view or do not appear. So this is a tool that can aid in trying to find out and troubleshoot why things are not visible. You've got a few different, I'll just quickly give you an overview here. I won't get into too much detail here, but you've got some different familiar sort of Ideate ways of selecting elements. You can import selections, you can select by a crossing window, or you can even use the selection wizard or the quick select option as well. Okay, I've got some elements that are turned off that are invisible here because of the plan region. I've changed that view range there with the plan region so that I'm hiding some elements there. Okay, if I go import selection, actually if I go select by crossing window and I do a window around there, I can tell it which view I want to, in which the elements are going to be hidden. I activate, and I can go find element. Basically, what Revit will do, what the tool will do, sorry, what X-ray will do is it'll go through and it'll ascertain why your element is not visible. You can see here that at the moment it can't determine a reason why. What I can do is if I jump into a 3D view, if I select, let's say, some of these elements here that are invisible in this view here, okay, what I can do is I can jump back into the tool. Okay, I've got it's identified that that is a duct accessory. Okay, and I've also told it that the view in which the elements are hidden is that level 2 300, which is that one there. Okay, if I go find element, okay, so it's going to give me a bit of information here about what the element is. It may not be able to give me information straight away, but it can tell me that it can give me a few possible reasons why the element is not located, telling me to try using wireframe, and I can have a look at that as well. Okay, so if I go to more info, it can take me out to some of those help topics as well. Okay, so that can be a useful tool. Feel free to explore that one a bit further. There's more that you can do in there, but there's just a couple of quick examples. Okay, all right, let's keep moving along here. Jump back over to the tool here. Okay, the spell check is the next one. I'll just quickly have a look. This one's pretty straightforward, but the beauty of this one is that obviously there is a spell check tool in Revit out of the box, but what that tool won't let you do as a specific example is that it won't let you check schedules. Okay, so this Ideate Apps spell check allows you to spell check inside a schedule. So I'm going to give you that as an example. It does have some other options here for just checking the whole project and checking sheets and sheet lists as well, which is quite beneficial. But the quick example I want to show you here this morning is being able to spell check through schedules, which you can't do out of the box. Okay, so if I click on that, I'm going to choose. I could choose whether I want English US, or I could choose British English or another language there as well. Okay, let's just leave it on a safe example. I'm going to go spell check selection. Okay, what it's going to do is it's going to look through all the schedules that are in my project. Okay, I've got the air terminal schedule there. It's finding for me some elements to do a spell check on already. It's going to query them for me, and it's going to give me obviously that typical options you get with spell check tools, being able to ignore all, or you can change and whatnot. What I can also do is I can zoom to the element, which will actually open up the view. Okay, so what I want to do is I could check this air terminal one here, and I can ignore, and I can go through. What I want to do is I want to skip that view and take you to the next one. Okay, so this is the attenuator schedule, which is this one here. Okay, if I zoom to the element there, okay, if you can see it's already finding a spelling mistake there, attenuator, obviously missing an A. Okay, you can see it's there in the title. It's found that pretty quickly. What I can do is I can change it just like any spell check tool, and it'll actually update that in the schedule. So that's quite a beneficial tool, that one. You can't do it out of the box at all, spell check in schedule tools. Okay, so that's quite a handy one. So keep that one in mind, and you can check all of your schedules in your project. Gives you a little report at the end. Okay, elements modified 1. It gave me some warnings there as well. If I want to, I can export out a report as well if I want to. Okay. All right. Let's keep moving along. That's the spell check tool. Okay. The last few I want to look at here are the sheet manager. Okay, so I'll quickly just open up and show you the sheet manager. So the sheet manager tool is almost like a souped up project browser for Revit. It gives you a views column and a sheets column, but what it does is it breaks those up into you get more about your categories in Revit, which you can't sort of get to in certain aspects of the project browser. A good example again is for your schedules. Okay, you can see if I look at my schedules there, it's broken that up into different categories. All right, so you can see there's under the schedule I've got the air terminals, so it's broken those up into groups. I've got the ducts accessories. We've got duct fitting. So you can think about this. This is this is not a huge project, this example, but if you've got quite a large project with hundreds of views and numerous schedules in there, this just gives you a lot more flexibility and a lot more tools here to be able to break up and view your elements. Okay, you've got search options here as well. So I can type in some keywords and filter that out. Okay, if I want to type in air terminals, for example, I can get to the air terminal schedule pretty quickly. Okay. If I wanted to, I can create views based on that as well, but I'll come back to that in a sec. Okay, with the sheets as well, it'll break these out into your different categories as well, and allow you to a search option, which is good as well. Okay, so maybe I want to search for views that have maybe 0 in the name or MO. Okay, you know, I can do that sort of thing as well. Maybe I want to search for ones that are 01. Okay, so that'll I can search for numbers and it'll filter out the list for me. So quite a powerful tool, allow you to quickly search through and find your views and your sheets in your Revit project. Okay, all right. I want to show you the next tool now, which is the Align tool. So I've got a quick example for this one. What I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to open up a sheet view here. I'm going to open up maybe level LOD 300, sheet 04 here. Okay, what I'm going to do is Align basically lets you pick multiple sheets that might have, say, the same layout on it, but maybe up level, so level 1, level 2, level 3 across different sheets. Might be the same footprint, and you want to align. You want to make sure they're aligned on your sheet views. There was an example here. If I jump into LO2 here, what I can do is I can treat this one as the one where I want everything to be aligned to this. So if I move that into that position, okay, let's say for example like there, if I go to level 3 and just make sure, you know, maybe move that one over so I know it's different. Maybe I go to level 4 as well. Okay, and I can move that across as well. That one's a different scale. We should be able to see it work between these two at least anyway. Okay, so what I can do is I can click on the Align tool. All right, what I can do is I can pick the alignment view. So which is the one that I want to be the one that's going to align, to. So I'm going to choose my 03 sheet there, which the layout is up in the top left corner. Okay, that's my that's the sheet, that's the view that I want to align that's on that sheet. Okay. What I can then do now is it'll list for me the views that could be aligned to this, that have the same scale layout on the sheet. Okay, I say, right, well, there's sheet 04, there's 06 and 07 as well. I want to align all of those to this 03 sheet. Okay, if I click Align, remembering I moved those ones over in the other ones, we should see that they will move. If I click on Done, if I check level 3 now, then you can see that's aligned to the corner. This was the other one. Okay, so you can see that's aligned to that same place as well. Okay, so hopefully you can see that really quickly you could get 10, 20, 100 sheets that have the same layout, same scale view on it, and you can get them to align to the same place, all based off one alignment view. Okay, all right. A couple of the last quick tools to have a quick look at here. The clone tool, very basically, is a tool that allows you to copy a sheet, including all of its parameters. Also existing viewports to the same location as well. So let's say I wanted to copy this sheet here, 07. Okay, if I can create a new custom sheet. It will look at the next number in line and it'll give it that number. Okay. I could create a placeholder if I wanted to, but I want to create a new sheet. I could give it a different name here. I'll leave it as it is. Okay. If I now move that over a little bit there. Okay. What I can do is I can tell it the new sheet there, and there's the existing sheet. Okay. So I can duplicate the views if I want. I can do whatever I need to do here. Okay. I've got some other options down here for view naming. Okay, so they've got some powerful tools here that I can do prefixes and suffixes as well if I want to. If I go to clone, okay, so you can see it's created for me a new sheet there. If I click done on that, if I open up that sheet, it's a copy now of that one with the same layout on there, and it's basically, if I expand that out, okay, it's got the same schedule on there as well, and you can see that it's duplicated the views for me. Okay, as I said it, as I instructed it to. So that's a quick way. I've just done one sheet there, but you could do multiple at a time. It's a really quick way of setting out and creating your sheets and setting your sheets for the project with the views intact. There's a few options you've got there as well. Okay. The last tool to look at here really quickly is the View Creator tool. So this is sort of carries on from the clone. I guess this is if you want to create views from scratch based on methods and rules. Okay, so you've got some different examples here, or different methods, I should say, of how you can create your views. If you want to create plans to the levels that exist in your project, or you want to duplicate some specific views that already exist, or you can even create dependent views as well, parent and child, dependent views to break up as well. So you can go based on rules there as well. Okay. Let's just do a quick example here. If I just say, well, create me some floor plans based on the levels in this project. If I wanted to, I could pick a rule here. I'm just going to go my default. I'm going to say example level 1 floor plan copy. That will be a good name there. Okay, I can go select my views. So I can choose the levels that I want. Okay. If I go, let's go to level 1 and I pick that one there. Go next. Okay, now it tells me if these are the levels that exist in my project, which ones do I want to create a new plan for. So I'd try to select all of them, even the roof. Go next. It's going to process and copy and create those new views here and give it a name. Okay. If I didn't want that suffix to be copied, I could give it a different suffix there as well. Obviously, views in Revit can't have the same name. They've got to have unique names. So you have to come up with your own rule. I'm sure you get the idea of how you would put a suffix or prefix in to name these independently. Okay. So I can say, right, I want to create those 4 views now. I'll just go with this copy one. Completed, creation of 4 views done. And if I scroll up to the top of my project browser, here's my new views created. Okay. So I can see my views created there. Level 1 floor plan copy, level 2 floor plan copy, level 3 floor plan copy, and it's created those and given me a new view range on that for per level. So that's quite a handy tool. Obviously you can have a play around with that with the different methods that you can use. I've just shown you one method there, but you've got other ways that you can create those views. So it's a real quick way of setting up your project. Okay, as you can see, a lot of these tools in the Ideate apps are for helping you not only audit and keep your model clean, but also to help you set up your projects. All of those sort of laborious, repetitive tasks at the beginning of projects. Let these tools really speed up those processes for you so that you can get your project set up quicker and you can get to your important design work and the work that you really need to get to meet your deadlines. All right, so that's pretty much Ideate apps. Okay, the last thing I want to show you here is just have a quick preview of the StyleManager, Ideate StyleManager. Okay, if I open up this, StyleManager is a tool that basically allows you to, all in the name of keeping your project clean, and making sure it's not too messy with unused styles and things like that. So you can see the little quick start guide here, which is quite handy. So you can, if you install a trial of this tool, you can have a quick go straight from the beginning. Right, you can have a look at the quick start guide that shows up. That just is accessible from the home button here. Okay, if I go to one of these other options here, I can always go back to the home and I get that welcome screen there with that information there. You can see that I can, it's got a number of styles, Revit sort of style elements in here that we can run through and we can have a look at. Okay, things like your object styles, your line styles, materials, filters, even view templates and scope boxes as an example. Okay, you can jump in and review basically what is in your project. Are there standard ones in there? Are there non-standard elements in there that you might need to clean up? Okay, so it's quite a powerful tool. It's all similar to some, a lot of the other tools here where it's like exploring, deep level exploring of your project, allowing you to get to elements that you can't easily get to and see out of the box in Revit. You're kind of giving it to you all in one window. Okay. Let's have a look at the object styles here. In fact, let's have a look at fill patterns, for example, right? What you've got further to being able to not only explore and see what you've got here, right, but you've got an analyze tool which starts to process the elements that you've got selected, and if there are anything if there is anything dependent on that style or assigned to that style, the info will show up here. Okay, so if I go back to, let's say, line styles, and I pick a random bunch here. It's processing those. Okay, so the style info it's giving me there is telling me what that element is, but the usage is not being used at the moment. Okay, let's have a look at object styles. Let's go to this one here. So it's processing that. What you're able to do is, if you find non-standard elements in here, you have a merge tool as well, or a delete tool, so you can start to clean up your project. So that one's telling me that object style BMA diffusers registers, it has a usage for these particular families. So it'll tell you not only if it's being used in the project level itself, but if there are families in the project that are assigned to these different styles, depending on what they are, it will list those for you there as well. So what you can do is you can even double click into those or edit the family, and you can start to drill in. It'll open up that family here inside of your Revit session, and you can see, you can start to edit that family, and you can start to see what elements in that family are assigned to that style. So you can kind of start drilling in and start to clean up and find where those, if there is a non-standard one in there, clean those up there. So if you've got elements in there that you want to merge, I'll just jump back out of that family and come back to the top level. What I can do, maybe I want to merge, one into another. Okay, I've got that option to do that as well. So I can say, like, do I want to keep that style, or do I want to merge it to another element here? I can choose which ones I want. If I merge that, it can clean those files up. So it's a really quick way of being able to not only find those non-standard elements, those non-standard styles, and being able to not only delete and clear them away, but merge them so that you don't lose elements and put them onto the right layer. So that'll process there. So I guess in short, just keep in mind that you've got options there to find all of these styles: line styles, line patterns, materials. You can find rogue materials that maybe may have come in from imports as well. Okay, and it'll give you a bit of a report. So that's merged those there, and all usages are replaced. So it gives you a bit of an idea of what it's actually done, and it gives you that at the end. Okay, so I can close that down. What I'll just try and lastly find an example for you here. If I go to, let's say, line styles. Okay, this will show you some examples. This tool will also show you examples if there are imports in your model as well. Okay, so if you have, let's say you import in a CAD file and you explode it, and you want to find those imports, you've got options here to show, well, show me not only the object styles but imported styles as well, and they will be prefixed with an import. Okay, so you can see here you've got CAD link, some CAD links here. These potentially could be some import options as well, or some imported elements that you may need to clean up as well. You may not want these sort of layers coming through from AutoCAD, for example, messing up your line style or your patterns list or anything else for that matter. Okay, there's a quick way of sort of breaking up your model and being able to interrogate and find the mess, basically, in short. All right, well, that just gives you hopefully a brief overview of the StyleManager. If you do want more detail on, or a tutorial on how to use that tool, I recommend you either check out the help menu that I was showing you earlier for some written documentation on how to use the StyleManager. Okay, you've got links here, and you've got some step-by-step guides, getting started guides, etc. Or, as I said, check out the YouTube, the Ideate Software YouTube page for some official training material in there. There's plenty of resources for all different types of scenarios and examples of using Ideate StyleManager for many different disciplines in Revit. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you very much for your attention, everyone. Let's have a quick look and see if there are any questions that have come through. It looks like we're all clear, I think, today, which is good. Hopefully that means you've been able to take something away from that. So with that, I think we'll end the webinar there. So thanks again and have a great day.